and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top story tonight on Gravitas. US President Donald Trump ordering immediate nuclear tests after Russia unveils catastrophic weapons. Is this the start of a dangerous new arms race? We are decoding all of this for you in just a bit. Also on the show for you tonight, getting you all the details as violence continues along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Did Kash Patel use a government jet for a personal trip? What really happened? We tell you about a major controversy brewing in the United States. All this and more coming up. Nuclear weapons testing erupting after decades of silence as US President Donald Trump orders immediate US tests. The declaration from the US President comes after Russia unveiled catastrophic weapons, including a radioactive tsunami creating drone, escalating the global tensions to unprecedented levels. Our next report telling you how the world could be standing on the edge of a terrifying new arms race.
In a world haunted by the horrors of nuclear war, the unthinkable is unfolding. The fragile, decades-long freeze on nuclear weapons tests has shattered. US President Donald Trump, just hours before meeting China's Xi Jinping, commanded the Department of War to restart live nuclear detonations, ending 33 years of restraint.
Haven't had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
The last time the US detonated a nuclear bomb was in 1992. Since the first nuclear test explosion on July 16, 1945, at least 8 nations have detonated over 2,000 nuclear tests at dozens of test sites. The US has carried out the maximum number of tests, followed by Russia. President Donald Trump has ordered new nuclear arms testing on American soil, saying Washington will not be left behind. This sudden move comes amid Russia's recent blitz of nuclear weapons tests, testing the Burovestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile with limited range, deploying the Oreshnik tactical weapon in Belarus, and unveiling the Poseidon underwater drone capable of triggering a radioactive tsunami miles long. The Poseidon drone, powered by a miniature nuclear reactor, is built to travel thousands of miles underwater before detonating near enemy shores, creating a wave of radioactive water and destruction unlike anything seen before. The global nuclear arsenal, estimated at over 12,000 warheads, sits ominously, with the US and Russia holding over 85%. With China rapidly expanding its nuclear stockpile and advanced technologies like AI and hypersonic weapons destabilizing traditional deterrence, the situation grows increasingly volatile. Analysts say this escalation marks the most dangerous arms race since the 1980s. Both Russia and the US are rearming with weapons that blur the line between strategic deterrence and apocalypse. As satellites track launches and submarines stir below, the line between posturing and provocation blurs. The margin for error is razor thin. One miscalculation, one radar glitch, one misunderstood signal, and humanity could stare into the radioactive abyss once more. The nuclear storm is no longer coming, it has already begun. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Why does Donald Trump hate India? Why is this question being asked? The US president has given China a break. He cut tariffs on Chinese goods down to 47% from the massive 57% imposed earlier, and he did it after a 2-hour meeting with the Chinese president in the South Korean city of Busan.
No. Can't get to our stick. Camera.
Beijing agreed to crack down on the illicit fentanyl trade, resume US soybean purchases, and keep rare earth exports flowing. A clear quid pro quo. Trump's face-to-face with Xi Jinping, their first since 2019, by the way, wrapped up his whirlwind Asia trip. And during that trip, he also claimed trade breakthroughs with South Korea, Japan, Southeast Asian countries. The move could signal a new thaw after months of heightened trade tensions and perhaps a new phase of US-China diplomacy. Trump even announced plans to visit China next April. That's all well, but here's the problem. While Trump is busy cutting China some slack, India continues to face some of the highest tariffs among major US trading partners. In fact, only Brazil and India remain under the steepest tariff regimes. The question is then, what gives? One key omission from Trump's meeting with Xi Jinping standing out, his usual rhetoric on Russian oil. Trump has never missed an opportunity to accuse countries of, quote-unquote, funding Russia's war. And often those accusations have been aimed squarely at India. After the Busan meeting, Trump said he and Xi Jinping had a long talk about Ukraine and would work together to see if we can get something, quote unquote. But then when it came to China's own oil purchases from Russia, he brushed it off. And that's where the hypocrisy comes in. Just earlier this month, Trump claimed, remember, falsely that Prime Minister Modi had promised to stop buying Russian oil. India flatly denied any such conversation. What was Trump's response? Quoting, if they want to say that, then they'll just continue to pay massive tariffs, quote unquote. And let's not forget, he slapped an additional 25% tariff on Indian imports, explicitly citing India's oil trade with Moscow, making the total tariffs on India a whopping 50%. And it did not even stop there. In September, Trump's trade advisor went a step further, calling India's Russian oil purchases blood money in a series of social media posts.
Good to meet you. Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
But here's what stands out. China, the largest buyer of Russian oil, just got rewarded. Trump reduced tariffs against Beijing, even as he punished India for doing far less. In fact, during the APEC CEO summit in South Korea, Trump defended his protectionist push, saying economic security is national security, arguing that global trading system was broken and urgently needed reform.
And for the first time, I laid out the principle that economic security is national security. Economic security, that's for South Korea, that's for any country. But economic security is, in fact, national security. I made the case that the global trading system was broken and in urgent need of reform, had to be fixed. But around the world, we're signing one trade deal after another to balance our relationships on the basis of reciprocity. Very important word.
He said the US is now signing one trade deal after another to balance relationships on the basis of reciprocity. Now, by that logic, even India has made its position clear. It will put its sovereignty and national interests first. As India's External Affairs Minister pointed out, we are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil. That is China, quote unquote. And yet, it is New Delhi that faces the brunt of the US penalties. So as Trump celebrates the diplomatic reset with China, the question is, why does Donald Trump keep targeting India while letting Beijing off the hook? Our next story, starting off with a question. Can Pakistan break free from the cycle of violence along its western border, or is it trapped in a storm of its own making? Afghanistan's Interior Minister Sirajuddin Haqqani delivered a stark warning to Pakistan, the warning coming with a message. Afghans hope to live in peace, but any aggression will be met with force. Our history speaks for itself, quote unquote. Haqqani is no ordinary Taliban official, remember. He is the Interior Minister in Afghanistan and a key figure in the Haqqani network. He spent his childhood in Pakistan's North Waziristan, a region that once served as a base for cross-border militancy. And for years, his network operated quietly, even with the tacit tolerance of elements within Pakistan. His warning is a stark reminder that the past still casts a long shadow. And this warning comes barely days after another fierce exchange which left 5 soldiers and 25 militants dead in cross-border skirmishes along the Afghan frontier. The timing of the attack is also striking. In the volatile Kurram district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in yet another attack by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, or the TTP, even as bullets were flying in Kurram, in which 6 Pakistani soldiers were killed. And this also raises another crucial question. Who is letting Pakistan's security situation worsen? And the answer points to the military itself, which is imploding Pakistan from within. Caught between the simmering unrest in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and an economy under strain, these internal pressures leaving gaps that insurgents are clearly exploiting, turning Pakistan's own borders into flashpoints. Islamabad accuses the Afghan Taliban of allowing TTP militants to operate freely from Afghan soil, an allegation that Kabul has long denied. And in response, Kabul shot back, demanding Pakistan stop funding or facilitating terror networks like the Islamic State Khorasan province and the Balochistan Liberation Army, both of which it calls Pakistan's own creation. But just as Pakistan has long accused the Taliban of harboring militants who strike inside its borders, India for decades has pointed out that Pakistan itself supports and sponsors terror groups targeting its territory. For Islamabad, this conflict has come full circle. The very militants once nurtured to shape Afghanistan's destiny have turned their guns inward, challenging Pakistan's authority within its own borders. And for Kabul, it's a test of legitimacy, whether the Taliban can truly rein in groups like the TTP without fracturing their own fragile alliances. As Pakistan and the Afghan Taliban meet again, this time with mediators and perhaps with greater urgency, the stakes are higher than ever. Whether these talks produce peace or another pause in the violence will reveal whether either side is actually ready to confront the monster that they helped create. The world is watching closely, and the outcome could determine whether the fragile truce holds or whether the Afghanistan-Pakistan border leads to a wider confrontation. Our next story coming in from the United States, it's quite the curious case. While the US government remains in one of the longest shutdowns in history, thousands of federal employees go unpaid, the FBI director, Kash Patel, appears to be enjoying some downtime on the Bureau's time and possibly its dime as well. Let's break this down for you. According to flight records linked to a government-registered jet, reportedly, Kash Patel used an FBI aircraft to attend his girlfriend's musical performance at a wrestling event in Pennsylvania. The report saying the FBI jet flew from Virginia to Pennsylvania State University on the 25th of October, where Patel's girlfriend was performing at the Real American Freestyle event, an unscripted wrestling show co-founded by the late Hulk Hogan. And his girlfriend even posted photos of the two at the event. Now, reports citing flight trackers showing the jet registered to the Department of Justice made a 40-minute trip to, this was from Virginia to the State College, Pennsylvania, and then departed 2.5 hours later for Nashville, where Kash Patel's girlfriend lives. No passenger manifest was released, reportedly. Now, nothing wrong with supporting a loved one, of course, but let's not forget the US government is in shutdown. FBI analysts, professional staff are working without pay. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are furloughed. So naturally, questions are being asked, and this is not the first time even that Kash Patel has faced such scrutiny. Lawmakers have repeatedly accused him of overusing government aircraft for personal reasons. To be fair, as FBI director, Kash Patel is required to travel on a government jet so he can access secure communication systems at all times. He is also required to reimburse the government for any personal travel at the price of a commercial ticket. But reports suggest Patel has stretched that rule, frequently using the FBI plane to attend sporting events and to visit his girlfriend. He has defended the trip, saying Congress made it mandatory for him to use the government plane for any travel. Yet critics have pointed out one glaring irony. Back in 2023, Patel himself accused former FBI Director Christopher Wray of wasting taxpayer money on what he called a private jet that he pays for with taxpayer dollars to hop around the country, quote unquote. And now the same charge seems to be boomeranging back at him. It's still unclear whether Patel conducted any official business during his visit or how much of the cost he actually personally covered. But for a government that's been effectively shut down, the optics of flying out to catch a girlfriend's concert using taxpayer-funded resources, not exactly music to anyone's ears. Before we go on any further, a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We are telling you all about how Donald Trump is expanding that deadly drug war and what's brewing behind the scenes. This is coming up shortly. An infected lab monkey on the prowl in the US is causing major panic. We get you the complete story. All this and more coming up.
Inside the back of the trailer. All right, there's a...
What if the cloud wasn't just where your data lives, but where your privacy dies? Why are we asking this? Because a new investigative report by The Guardian has revealed a secret deal between Israel and two of the world's biggest tech giants, Google and Amazon, reportedly. A deal that allegedly includes hidden codes, secret signals, and a level of surveillance power that's frankly got many raising questions like, is Israel using Google and Amazon to spy on the world? Is big tech becoming a weapon of national security? According to The Guardian, Israeli officials struck a secretive deal with these big tech firms. It came with its own code, as per the report, when Google and Amazon negotiated a $1.2 billion cloud computing contract with Israel in 2021. Their client had a unique demand, reportedly, that both companies agreed to use a hidden signal, a secret winking mechanism built into financial transactions. This signal, according to the report, would quietly alert the Israeli government whenever its data was accessed or handed over to foreign law enforcement agencies, reportedly. In other words, if a court overseas ordered Google or Amazon to share Israeli data, Israel wanted to know instantly. Just for context here, cloud providers like Google and Amazon are often required to comply with data requests from police or prosecutors. They are typically gagged from alerting customers when this happens, either by law or by court order. But for Israel, losing control of its data to authorities abroad was considered a national security risk, reportedly. So the officials allegedly designed a workaround, a covert warning system hidden in plain sight. As part of a joint investigation by The Guardian and the local call documents suggesting both companies agreed to these terms to clinch the lucrative deal codenamed Project Nimbus. And here's how it works, reportedly. If either company is forced by a foreign court or police to hand over Israeli data, but is gagged from saying so, it must secretly alert the Israeli government. How? By sending a coded payment, that too within 24 hours of handing over Israeli data to any foreign authority. The amount would match the dialing code of the country requesting the data. For example, for the US, where the code is +1, it is 1,000 shekels reportedly. For Italy, where the code is +39, 3,900 shekels. If a gag order was so strict that no signal could be sent, the companies would pay a flat 100,000 shekels, roughly $30,000, to the Israeli government, reportedly. Microsoft reportedly cut off Israel's military from a surveillance system accused of monitoring Palestinian phone calls. Microsoft lost the Nimbus bid, partly because it refused to accept Israel's more extreme demands. But Google and Amazon reportedly did not walk away. Both companies deny any wrongdoing. Amazon insists it has no processes in place to circumvent lawful orders. Google calls the suggestion absurd and says it remains compliant with all laws. Under the terms of Israel's Project Nimbus, that kind of accountability is impossible, reportedly. The contract with Google and Amazon explicitly prohibits the companies from restricting Israel's access, even if its actions breach their terms of service. And if they do, they could face financial penalties, reportedly, even legal action for breach of contract. Israel's finance ministry defended the arrangement, saying Google and Amazon are bound by stringent contractual obligations that safeguard Israel's vital interests, and those agreements are confidential. And in response to that piece by The Guardian, the Israeli government said it will not legitimize the article's claims by disclosing private commercial terms. In the end, Project Nimbus is not just about Israel's data or big tech contracts. When billion-dollar companies agree to secret codes and silent signals, allegedly, questions are bound to be raised over transparency. India is reportedly set to host the leadership of the European Union as chief guest for the next year's Republic Day celebrations. And this marks a historic moment in the India-EU relationship, signaling a deeper strategic partnership between the two sides. According to reports, India has extended invitations to the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the European Council President Antonio Costa to attend the Republic Day parade in January. The formal confirmation of their acceptance is expected soon, reportedly. This will be the first time ever that the European Union's top leadership will grace India's Republic Day as chief guests, and officials say the move reflects the growing warmth and maturity in the ties. During a press briefing, India's External Affairs Ministry said that nothing on the official guest list has been finalized yet. And this comes just weeks after the Union Commerce Minister recently concluded a trip to Brussels, where he held talks with the European Union's Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security. Two senior EU commissioners, meanwhile, visited India. Several agreements have also been closed between the two sides. This includes intellectual property rights, customs, digital trade, or even around small and medium-sized enterprises. The talks are part of a broader effort to conclude the FTA by the end of this year itself. The timing of this engagement is also significant as global alliances shift and the US foreign policy remains unpredictable. Both the sides are seeking reliable and like-minded partners. Despite some differences, particularly over Russia's war in Ukraine, officials say the convergences between India and the EU far outweigh the divergences. The two sides share common ground on strategic autonomy, sustainable growth, and global stability. With the European Union leadership sharing the Republic Day dais next year, the celebrations will not just mark India's national pride, but also a new era in cooperation between the two sides, if that happens. A partnership built on trust, trade, and shared values, clearly taking center stage. While the new nuclear weapons of Moscow are making headlines, Russian forces in Ukraine are using a new weapon, which is changing the tide of the war. A brutal new weapon ripping open the front lines. Russia is re-engineering its oldest bombs into deadly precision glide missiles. And the impact is devastating the eastern flanks. Take a look.
From the skies over Donbass, a new kind of destruction now falls. Silent, precise, and devastating. Russia's defense industry has transformed its stockpile of the so-called dumb bombs into long-range guided strike weapons. With bolt-on wings, smart guidance kits, and satellite tracking, these retrofitted munitions can glide across 200 kilometers, hitting their targets with deadly accuracy. Each bomb costs a fraction of a modern cruise missile, yet delivers near identical impact. Russian engineers have turned simple Soviet-era Fab 500 and Fab 1500 bombs into intelligent gliders capable of bypassing radar nets, destroying command posts, and collapsing Ukrainian fortifications from afar. Russian forces are using these upgraded bombs heavily in Kupiansk, where over 10,000 Ukrainian troops remain encircled. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky admits that Pokrovsk remains the hottest spot on the front line.
The most difficult now is the Pokrovsk direction. There, as in previous weeks, is the greatest intensity of fighting, a strong concentration of Russians. The occupiers are trying to gain a foothold by all methods. Every destroyed occupier, there is a result for our entire state.
Ukraine was forced to restrict power supply nationwide after Russia's attack damaged energy infrastructure. The latest Russian missile attack targeted the southeastern city of Zaporizhia.
There were 4 explosions, and then the 5th missile struck right here. I held my child close. Within seconds, the power went out, dust in the air, and children started crying. I was terrified. It was truly frightening. Some people are still trapped under the rubble. My neighbors lost their apartment.
But Kyiv isn't silent. Ukrainian drones and missiles are striking deep inside Russia, targeting oil refineries and industrial hubs in Belgorod and Budyonnovsk. Both sides are now locked in a battle of innovation, each adapting, countering and retaliating faster than ever before. Russia's turbojet glide bombs with upgraded anti-jamming tech mark a chilling evolution in precision strike warfare, and a warning that the conflict is shifting into a deadlier, longer-range phase. For the trapped Ukrainian troops, the battle is grim. For the war, the stakes continue to escalate as both sides push the frontiers of tactics and technology to breaking point. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In a move that has sparked a controversy and a heated debate, the Netanyahu political dynasty appears set to deepen its footprint in Israeli institutions. What are we talking about? Yair Netanyahu, the son of the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is reportedly poised to take a senior role in the World Zionist Organization. His nomination has ignited a storm of political criticism across the spectrum. Yair Netanyahu is expected to head the Public Diplomacy Department of the World Zionist Organization, a position reportedly carrying a salary of tens of thousands of shekels per month. The nomination comes as part of a political agreement promoted by the Likud minister, Miki Zohar, reportedly, with the Prime Minister's support. As per the political analysts, reportedly, the appointment is aimed at increasing right-wing influence across Israel's national and Zionist institutions, including the Jewish Agency and KKL-GNF. Opposition parties, meanwhile, have reacted sharply. The Yesh Atid party condemned the decision, calling it disgraceful, stated they will refuse to sign any partnership agreements in the Zionist institutions while the nomination is on the table. And amid the backlash, the World Zionist Organization has postponed a formal vote on Yair Netanyahu's appointment for 2 weeks, leaving that controversy unresolved. This appointment is seen as part of a broader right-wing strategy to consolidate power within key institutions. And with this move, the Netanyahu family seems to be cementing its political dynasty, extending its reach from the government into influential Zionist bodies. Critics argue it raises questions about nepotism versus merit, while supporters see it as continuity of political influence. It seems the Netanyahu legacy is poised to shape politics and institutions for years to come. US President Donald Trump has now expanded that deadly drug war to the Pacific. On Wednesday, the US carried out its 14th strike in just 2 months, targeting a drug boat in the Pacific Ocean. 4 people were killed. The US Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announced the strike on X, saying, I'm quoting, "This vessel, like all the others, was known to be involved in illicit narcotics smuggling, transiting a known trafficking route and carrying narcotics," quote unquote. He added that no US forces were hurt. Now, here's the thing. Wednesday's operation marks the 14th known strike on an alleged drug smuggling vessel since the campaign started in early September. So far, 61 people have been killed aboard 15 boats. The Trump administration has been ramping up its campaign against what it calls narco-terror at sea. Just last week, 2 boats were struck in the Eastern Pacific, a sign that the operation is expanding beyond the Caribbean, where most earlier strikes took place. And on Monday, US forces hit 4 more boats in the Pacific, killing 14 people and leaving 1 survivor. Those were the first multiple strikes in a single day. The administration has backed these operations with a classified legal opinion, arguing that the president can authorize deadly force against a wide range of cartels that pose an imminent threat to Americans. But on Capitol Hill, Democrats are questioning the legality of these attacks. Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chair Mark Warner has slammed the Trump administration for briefing only Republicans on the strikes, leaving Democrats in the dark. Here's what Warner said, I'm quoting, "Decisions about the use of American military force are not campaign strategy sessions, and they are not the private property of one political party," quote unquote. Earlier this month itself, the Republican-led Senate blocked a measure that would have restricted Trump's power to order strikes on alleged drug boards without congressional approval. The heist that shocked the world. French authorities have launched a fresh wave of arrests, sweeping up 5 more suspects in that audacious Louvre robbery. But the glittering priceless French crown jewels worth over $100 million remain untraced. The thriller is far from over, it seems.
It was a crime straight out of a Hollywood script. A precision strike, a shadowy crew, and a vanishing act that stunned the world. Now more than a week after thieves pulled off the daring Louvre jewel heist, 5 new arrests have been made across France, yet not a single gem, not a single crown has been recovered.
Searches that took place during the evening and night did not allow us to recover the loot from this burglary.
Fogil, but you remain hopeful?
Every investigation is a bit like Ariadne's thread, or perhaps more like a spider's web. Gradually, as investigators gather testimonies and accumulate evidence, they start with the proof found at the crime scene. There are video surveillance analyses, and as searches continue, they find phones and other objects.
The stolen cash, valued at more than $102 million, includes the sapphire star tiara historic jewels that once adorned Europe's royal elite. What makes the case even more interesting is that a former thief now claims he warned the Louvre months before the heist.
Have you seen the windows? It's a piece of cake. I used to disguise myself as a worker to commit my crimes and all that. I said, well, you can imagine robbers, burglars, people in disguise who come in like Arsène Lupin, a fictional gentleman thief, and sneak through windows. It's a piece of cake.
Then he reveals how he had told the authorities about the critical gaps in the museum security.
And 5 years later, on a Sunday, I turn on the TV, and what do I see? Exactly what I had predicted. In 7 minutes, like Arsène Lupin, they robbed the Louvre through the windows. Just as I had said, through the window. They came, they took, and they left. And then I said to myself, they are completely reckless. They should have listened to me, because I had predicted all this.
French police have remained tight-lipped, revealing only that digital forensics, CCTV footage, and phone intercepts led to the latest wave of arrests. Investigators are combing Europe's black market, suspecting the jewels may already be melted down or smuggled abroad. The Louvre, still open to visitors, remains shrouded in tension, its glass pyramid now a silent witness to one of the greatest art crimes of the century. As night falls on Paris, one question echoes across the scene. Where are the jewels now? Bureau report, WION The World is one.
Shifting focus for now, in a remarkable blend of tradition and social reform, a small village in Uttarakhand in India has taken a bold step to redefine wedding customs. The Gram Sabha of Kandhar village in the Jaunsar Bawa region has passed a bylaw that basically limits the amount of gold jewelry that women can wear during wedding ceremonies. Under this new rule, brides and women attending weddings are allowed to wear only 3 gold ornaments: a nose stud, earrings, and a Mangal Sutra. Any violation will invite a fine of 50,000 rupees. The decision was unanimously passed in the village council meeting and aims to curb extravagant spending and ease the social pressure on families that often feel compelled to match wealthier households during weddings perhaps. And the village elders and local leaders say this initiative is not about restriction, but about restoring simplicity, promoting equality, and discouraging the display of wealth. By reducing the financial burden of marriage ceremonies, they hope to protect families from falling into debt and economic distress. Officials and social observers have lauded the move as a unique example of grassroots self-regulation. They say the decision could serve as a model for other villages as well, balancing cultural traditions with economic sustainability. Gold holds a deep cultural and emotional significance in Indian society. It symbolizes wealth, prosperity, divine blessings, especially during festivals and also associated with the wedding celebrations. Gold is often passed down as a family heirloom as well, embodying both heritage and faith. And by taking this collective step, the people in that village have shown how community-driven governance can uphold tradition while embracing change, proving that sometimes true richness lies not in gold but in values of equality and simplicity. And speaking of gold, our next story is about a special gift that US President Donald Trump received. A gold crown that Trump could not wait to put on. Here's what happened. South Korea welcomed US President Donald Trump on Wednesday with a replica gold crown and awarded him with the Grand Order of Mugunghwa, the country's highest decoration. Remember, he was there in South Korea as part of the final leg of that trip through Asia that also saw stops in Malaysia and Japan. Remember, the visit happened at a time when the South Korean leader was hoping to win concessions from Trump in drawn-out negotiations aimed at lowering US tariffs on South Korea, and has wooed the US president by praising his outreach to North Korea as well. The South Korean president's office said, in recognition of Donald Trump's role as a peacemaker on the Korean peninsula, he was awarded the Grand Order of Mugunghwa, which is named after South Korea's national flower. And how did Trump respond? He said, I'm quoting, "I'd like to wear it right now." That's what he said when presented with that glittering award. A South Korean official said he was the first US president, in fact, to receive that honor. He was gifted a replica of the golden Cheonmachong crown. The delicate original, which was found in a tomb in Gyeongju, features towering gold prongs and dangling leaf shapes. The original was once worn by rulers of the ancient Silla kingdom, which ruled about a third of the Korean peninsula until the 9th century. The South Korean president's office said in a statement that this symbolizes the history of Silla, which maintained a long-term era of peace on the Korean peninsula and a new era of peaceful coexistence and common growth on the Korean peninsula that the United States and South Korea will work together for. The leaders had a working lunch that included Thousand Island salad dressing, and in what the South Korean president's office said was a nod to Trump's success story in his hometown of New York. The lunch was capped by a peacemaker's dessert consisting of a brownie adorned with gold. The meal also included local specialities according to President Trump's preferences. So clearly a lot of effort was made to please the American president, with a lot of gold involved. In fact, the South Korean president reportedly also sported a custom gold tie, which his office said reflects President Trump's taste for gold, captures the golden future of the South Korea-US alliance and the status of South Korea. The ocean is the Earth's wildest mystery. It seems every dive peeling back darkness, revealing new monsters and wonders unseen. And this week, scientists have found something chilling: a carnivorous death ball sponge in the depths of the Southern Ocean. Take a look.
Most of our planet lies hidden beneath the waves. 95% of Earth's oceans remain unexplored, more alien than the surface of Mars. Its trenches hide volcanoes, lost wrecks and creatures stranger than fiction. Now a new terror joins the ranks. On a daring expedition, researchers scoured the icy abyss near the South Sandwich Islands and Montague Island. Scientists found 30 species new to science, each thriving at depths of 2 miles, where sunlight fades to nothing. Among the new species, scientists have found something astonishing and terrifying. They are calling it the carnivorous death ball.
We've been lucky enough to find some very different and special carnivorous sponges. The carnivorism of each of these species exhibits different strategies for capturing its prey, different shapes, and different growth patterns. And specifically, we have found a species that has a peduncle, and from that peduncle come several branches, like 10 or 12 branches. And at the tip of each of those branches, there are some balls, some white sphere.
The sponge lies in wait, a silent killer in the deep. Any small crustacean or passing organism that brushes against its surface is immediately snared. Polar deep sea ecosystems remain profoundly undersampled, yet are central to understanding evolution, biogeography and resilience in our rapidly changing climate. Scientists say that the Southern Ocean's crushing dark zone holds many such surprises.
The South Sandwich Islands are really special for many reasons. One is its remoteness, which means it's very unexplored, so it's really special in that respect. It's the place where the Southern Ocean, the Antarctic Ocean, mixes with the South Atlantic and creates kind of the meeting place of those two water masses, means you're going to get an unusual mix of animals.
The latest findings are proof that the deep ocean remains the last great wilderness on Earth, a place where evolution still writes new chapters. What else lurks down there, no one knows. But one thing's certain, the deeper we go, the stranger, deadlier and more breathtaking life becomes. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The United Kingdom has witnessed 2 epic downfalls this autumn, one on the football field at Anfield and the other in the polls at Westminster. The UK Prime Minister's ratings have sunk to record lows, just as Liverpool's season has entered full-blown crisis mode. Like slot put Liverpool back on its perch, leading them to their record-equalling 20th league title. Last year, Keir Starmer led Labour back, remember, to power after a long 14 years in the wilderness. In May 2024, the party was polling at a commanding 44%. But now the numbers have crashed. Like Liverpool's form this season, it seems. Labour is down to just 17%. Their lowest ever rating with YouGov. They are 10 points behind Farage's Reform UK, level with Kemi Badenoch's Tories and barely 1 point ahead of the Greens. And that is worse than Liverpool's gap with league leaders Arsenal, which is currently 7 points. Labour's slump coming just days after Labour suffered a historic defeat in the by-election in Wales, and their first loss in the former mining town in more than a century, in fact. Immigration woes have added to the pain. Last week, a migrant returned to the UK on a small boat after being removed to France under the one-in, one-out scheme. And a convicted sex offender was mistakenly released, only to be arrested again 36 hours later. Liverpool's 5-1 win gave them and their head coach a little breather, but Starmer is yet to get any kind of good news here. To add to the British Prime Minister's woes, the poll also signalling a probable wipeout for Labour in May's election and is seen as a moment of maximum political danger for the Prime Minister. Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, meanwhile, has refused to rule out challenging him for the Labour leadership. A number of Labour backbenchers have publicly said that the Prime Minister will have to step aside if the party's results next May are as bad as feared. As for Liverpool, the water has not reached the ceiling yet. Slot is believed to still have the backing of both players and the club hierarchy, but 6 losses in 7 games unheard of at Anfield. This is the first time since 1934, by the way, that Liverpool have lost the domestic cup game at home by 3 goals without scoring. The Reds also have the most losses among all clubs from Europe's top 5 leagues in October. Both stories are reminders of how quickly dominance can actually decay, how momentum, once lost, is devilishly hard to regain. For Starmer, as for Liverpool, it seems what it looks like, the question is not just tactical, it's emotional. Can they win back belief?
So you can see this. There's one.
On to the United States now. Imagine an infected lab monkey on the loose in your area. Sounds scary, right? That's exactly what has triggered panic in Mississippi. After virus-carrying lab monkeys escaped a crash scene, an infected lab monkey is still on the loose, and authorities have launched a massive manhunt to capture the animal. The public, they have been urged to remain vigilant as fears mount on the ground. And this crisis gripping Mississippi after the lab monkey carrying a dangerous herpes virus broke free after a vehicle crash, setting off a large-scale police chase across county lines. The animal vanished into densely wooded areas reportedly, evading capture despite hours of coordinated search efforts. An eyewitness has described the horror.
Show you the wreck, and then I'm going to show you the monkeys that we have here. And again, these monkeys could be dangerous.
And that monkey is believed to carry herpes B virus, reportedly, a rare but potentially deadly infection for humans if untreated. Local health officials warn anyone who spots the animal to report immediately without approaching it.
The monkeys were research animals that at one point had been held at Tulane University in New Orleans. The university said it no longer owns those animals, and it also was not transporting them, but the university did send a team of animal care experts to the scene.
This is a recurring nightmare, it seems. Past incidents included when over 40 monkeys escaped a research facility in South Carolina. This was in August 2024, triggering similar panic. The public's anxiety levels intensifying as social media is buzzing with sightings, also misinformation, reportedly. Officials urge calm but remain on high alert. For now, the focus is total containment to prevent the virus from infecting humans. A challenge complicated by the elusive behavior of monkeys and the region's rugged terrain. This event is a stark reminder also of the unforeseen dangers when lab animals carrying human-affecting diseases escape into the wild, threatening public health and safety on multiple fronts. The cradle of civilization is crumbling in southern Iraq. Archaeologists are racing against time as climate change accelerates the decay of ancient sites. We're telling you more about this in our next story, as they are also threatening to erase what remains of Mesopotamia's magnificent past. Take a look. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
Welcome this season of Spooks, Chills and Thrills with our list of Halloween movies. Know all about the most iconic high school characters of all time. And take a look at the cinema co-workers who either ended up fighting or just never got along. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
He's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress